Do you want to know more about women empowerment?
Good morning. Welcome to this week's edition of W
Hey, how's
Talk.
it going? This is Tracks Momentum with me, Diana, on the Friday edition.
Good morning and welcome to W Talk. Right, Women Talk.
Welcome back to W Talk. It's calling you in the studios of TRAXXfm.
Tune in to W Talk every Fridays from 11:15 to 11:45 a.m. only on TRAXXfm.
Experience the excitement right here on TRAXXfm.
11:15 a.m. on the clock right now, and of course every Friday 11:15 W Talk on Tracks is happening, and I'm super excited for having today's guest on the phone interview today. Her name is Melissa Tan. She is a TV host, as I mentioned earlier on. She's a model, actress, and activist who advocates for a sustainable and zero waste lifestyle. She is the only Malaysian ambassador of earthday.org. Melissa, good morning.
Hi, Elle.
Hi.
Hey, everyone.
How are you?
I'm good. It's a busy Earth Week.
Oh yeah, happy Earth Day to you, Melissa.
Happy Earth Day, everyone.
All right, you know what? I'm actually quite sad that you can't be in the studio with us today, but I just seen your Insta story. You've got so many things lined up, so many things going on for today because it's Earth Day, and obviously you are the only kind of Malaysian ambassador of earthday.org, right? So yeah, if you want to follow Melissa on Instagram, it is at Hey Melissa Tan. And today, obviously, it's Earth Day, so we're going to talk about more about Earth Day. But before that, could you tell us a little bit more about yourself, Melissa? Because I just mentioned a few things, but I know you do so much more. So yeah, take it away.
Thank you so much, Elle. Yeah, that was a great introduction already. Host, producer, create content, and really all I do is use my platform and my voice to advocate for people to change. All of us is a potential activist. All of us are a potential change maker, and I'm really just showing people how we can do that in Malaysia. A lot of the inspiration for environmental movements, they come overseas, they come from other countries, they also come in Malaysia. So really, all I'm doing is shining a spotlight so that people have the chance to take action themselves. And there are very simple ways to do that. So that's all about me.
Oh, wow, that's nice. And again, if you want to follow Melissa on Instagram, it's Hey Melissa Tan. I've seen a couple of her videos, like the electronic waste thing, the e-waste. Wow, that was a good video. Yeah, so how did you get started as an environmental activist? What prompted you to be an advocate to climate action and sustainability?
Like many other people, I fell in love with nature and the animals in them when I was a kid. So I understood that as an animal lover, if you hurt nature, you would hurt animals. So I was this like crazy recycling kid. I was really passionate about it. I would never let anything go into the trash. But, when I learned more about environmental issues that were really big, like, for example, the plastic pollution in the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, a huge plastic filled piece in the ocean that stretched for, 3 times the size of France. These things horrify me. And as one person, I always thought, oh my God, I'm just like one kid. What can I do? I hope someone else would do something about it. I hope governments, individuals, businesses will fix the problem. So fast forward, several decades later, I'm a grown up, and I realized that nothing really changed. Everything just got worse. So it came to a point where I thought, wait, I can't just wait for other people to do something about it. I had to do it myself. And when I started doing it, I learned about zero waste living. I started taking action in my life. And, gradually over a couple of months, going down the rabbit hole, once you know things, you can't unknow them, right? Once you know, you cannot know. So, it made so much sense to take all these steps. And then along the way, I saw how other people responded as well. So I really saw this ripple effect going outwards. The more I did, the more people could learn from me, the more I learned from other people as well. And the more people lived more environmentally, and then businesses started to change as well. Actually, we all have different roles in our different lives, right? We're all like business owners or employees or part of a family. And that's how we can all influence change. Because if we're a shining example, every time you do something, the person after you will be like, hey, actually that's really simple. How come I'm not doing it? And then they do it as well. So this is really something I try and unlock over the last few years in people, just opening that opportunity and that door for themselves.
Right.
So after that, it just led me to many different places, like, becoming an Earth Day ambassador for earthday.org. I joined Climate Reality. I now lead Fashion Revolution, the largest global fashion activism movement. And they're in 90 countries. So I'm in the Malaysia country coordinator. All of these are just platforms that mobilize people. And, we're stronger together in organized efforts. So that's just it. I am a connector.
Wow, what you mentioned is true. Like when you do it, then it's like a domino effect, right? Like when you do something good, then people will be like, hey, yeah, true. Why don't I do this, right? In other words, it's like monkey see, monkey do, is it? But yeah, I understand the meaning, like the domino effect, because that's the same thing with kindness as well. But yeah, this one, what is your job as Malaysia's Earth Day Network ambassador? Because you mentioned that, already we all know that you are the only Malaysian ambassador to earthday.org. So what is your job as the ambassador? Like, what are your roles in that?
I may have lost you, Elle.
Oh.
So, okay.
All right. Okay. Is it better now? Because I was like,
that's
wait,
good.
hold on. Okay. Basically, you mentioned that you are the Malaysian ambassador of earthday.org, right? And you are the only Malaysian ambassador, actually. And yeah, so what is your job as Malaysia's Earth Day Network ambassador?
It's actually to do what I do, to do what comes naturally to me, to initiate projects, to connect resources. So, being a focal point and an amplifier, it also means that I get to speak to a lot of people. I get to, bring all these different worlds together. For example, private and activists. I've worked with the government as well on several different projects. It has been a really fulfilling role. So it's just, putting myself out there and also creating opportunities for people to get together with each other and for us to do projects together. For example, the recent one would be, I was part of a big cleanup in Penang. So we initiated that with a local swimming club, Penang Swimming Club. Just, a bunch of people that said, hey, let's do something about that big trash island over there that was in the news, Pulau Gazumbo. And then, everyone started calling everyone that they knew. They got Penang Green Council in, we got Earth Day in, we got the University Center of Marine Studies in. So it's kind of like just, hey, let's all do something together. It's all just about taking initiative. And this is something that everyone can do as well.
Right.
So going forward, they're also producing a guide for everyone to be able to start their own cleanup and to do it properly. So, being able to get good data so that it transfers into, public policies, being able to recycle the stuff that they are collecting off the beach, not just sending it into the landfill. So this is really what it's about, connecting.
Right. So whenever you do, you give a proposal to, let's say, some governmental bodies or stuff like that, right? Like when you do your proposal at the beginning of your journey towards this thing, right? Being an advocate, like how did you do your proposal? Like what did you write in your proposal? Like, I want to clean up the beach. I want to do what? Like, how did you manage your proposal? What did you put inside? So that people can know what they can write inside a proposal if they are interested in doing like a beach cleanup, stuff like this.
I think the first thing to do would be not to, that saying, think local, act global. No, wait, think global. Sorry, I got it opposite. Think global, act local. Don't look past what small efforts can do. So don't try and aim for, today I want to start and I want to work with the government immediately. No, it actually is, a step-by-step process. Start with your own community, start initiative, use that as an example of, and use that as like a training ground of what we can do, and then start to build on that. And then, after that, people start paying attention. More community members join in, different parties join in, and then you'll have, build up some sort of credibility that you can run a project well, and then bring that to other parties who will then be interested in what you're doing.
Right.
So it's all just about, starting at the ground level and then building your way up instead of coming up with a fancy proposal and without any track record. That's where I would suggest. And you got to have it. It's all about the little wins as well. When you start local, it's also about building up your confidence to be able to handle something bigger. I started just on social media, and that's something everyone can do. Like about 5 years ago, I started Zero Waste Living, and I started speaking about it on my socials, on my website, and that's when, corporates actually started wanting to work with me. But if I didn't start with step one, I wouldn't have come to this point as well.
I suppose you started from the ground up as well, right?
Yes, and I really believe in, the power of the people, that everyone can be a funnel for change.
Right. I mean, okay, before we move on to the next question, I need your advice on something, okay? So, a couple of weeks ago, I went, because I've got a lot of plastic bottles and stuff like that at my house, so I wanted to go and recycle them, right? So I went with my friend, a friend that I haven't met in a long time. And so I said, hey, can you go to this place because I want to recycle my stuff, and I actually get money from it. And then she said, huh? Recycle? Wow. People who go overseas, definitely different. So how do I respond to something like this? It's like, because a lot of people are still not aware of, the climate change, sustainability, even something simple as recycling. They don't really practice it. I would say a lot of people know about it, but a lot of people also don't know about it. So, what do I say when someone says, oh, 出国的人不一样, like, oh, if you go overseas and study, oh yeah, that's why you recycle. But like, I'm thinking, because I want to say it in a very polite way, like, don't you recycle? Stuff like this. Yeah, so what would you say if you were put in that situation?
I think you're absolutely right. The awareness level is not where it should be, and that's where we all can be, educators. Because not everyone might care about the environment. Maybe they don't go out to nature so much. Maybe they only stay in shopping malls. They have lost that connection with nature. But if you draw it back to how it affects them daily and their own health and well-being, that's where I would recommend you come in. For example, do you know that each of us is eating 5 grams of plastic every single week? That's about 1 credit card. Can you imagine swallowing a credit card size worth of plastic every single week? But that's the plastic that's going into our body just because of how much plastic we use. And so plastic pollution is so pervasive. It's in the water we drink. It's in the food we eat. And the more we produce and waste, it means the more of it will start going into our body. And a lot of people are concerned about their health, even if they're not really concerned about the environment. So that's one way to do it. And then you can also share about how, environmental living actually saves us so much time and money, and also is a lot better for our well-being, just in terms of, first of all, we should be planning for retirement instead of spending all our money. What if we figured out different ways for us to reduce our consumption overall? So that's where I would angle it from, if they are not too familiar with the environmental crisis. But I think one way to also do it is to just show them images, to show them the impact of it. Because, when we're in a country where littering is very common, people tend to get normalized. But when they see something like a huge landfill full of trash, that's when they might go, oh, this is the trash that we are creating. If the more effective we are at throwing trash away and putting it into landfills and locking them away, we might be very distant from the problem. So invite them on, say, a beach cleanup. Invite them on one of the street cleanups that the NGOs do. All of these ways are just ways for them to interact with it. One of the things that I like to use is I've spoken recently as well to one of my friends who was a parent, and he doesn't really care so much about the environment as well. Then I asked him, hey, do you remember where are some of the places that you used to enjoy when you went when you were a kid? And then he told me about this waterfall, which was beautiful, and he really loved going to it with his family. But now that he grew up and he became a dad, when he tried to bring his young family to the waterfall, he realized that it was completely destroyed. It was just full of trash, and that made him so sad. So that was the way that I angled it. Like, this is what you've lost. This is something you couldn't share with your child because of the way that we do things. So this is one thing you can do for it so that we can, shift our world to a better place.
Right, definitely. Wow, that is so true. So, as an environmental activist, right, who or what inspired you to continue doing what you do? Because for me, the first time I ever heard about sustainability is because of Emma Watson, because she was wearing this dress which is made completely from plastic or trash, I'm not too sure. But at that time when she stepped on the red carpet wearing what we say plastic, and that is fashion, people call fashion, I'm like, wow. So that was when I started to kind of Googled, okay, what's sustainability and stuff like that. So who inspired or what inspired you to continue doing what you do?
Nature is my inspiration. There are obviously a lot of big figures out there that are very inspirational, but I really like to look at nature. I really like to draw inspiration from nature. When I heard from local conservationists that Malaysia is one of the richest countries in biodiversity, and when you see images of all these beautiful animals, flora and fauna, that are a lot of them are only found in Malaysia. They're trying to capture, document, take pictures, and discover new species before they're even being, before they go extinct. So before we can even enjoy them, we're losing them.
Yeah.
So, just step out into nature and see how much it actually changes you. Because a lot of us live in cities, and I don't know about you, but I have not really breathed fresh air for a very long time.
Oh, same here.
Exactly. A lot of us don't breathe good air. So the moment you step into a forest, just notice how much your body changes, how relaxed you are, how your stress levels go down immediately. I can go completely sick into a forest. I've gone on days where I didn't sleep last night. I am all clogged up. I have a cold. I have whatever. I feel terrible. I take a 1 hour walk in the forest and I'm completely healed.
Wow.
It's just like that nature's effect on you. So imagine what we're losing. This is what we stand to lose. So we have to go down into the rabbit hole itself. Just be curious about what is the beauty of nature itself. A lot of times, what is my greatest source of inspiration to also be an environmental advocate is people. Because a lot of the climate impacts are impacting the people that are least able to deal with it. So disproportionately on people of less means you will see that we have a widening income gap. And with our capitalist system, a lot of wealth is concentrated at the top and is based on extracting resources off the planet and of the people underneath.
Right.
So there's people all over the world, billions of people who don't have clean water, who have had their homes destroyed, all because of the way that we do things. And that's really what keeps me going. But we have to change the way we do things.
Right. That's very inspirational and very nice of you to say, because what you're saying is really true, but a lot of people still lack awareness, right? So when you come across people who lack awareness and stuff like this, obviously there are some other obstacles that you had to overcome. So how did you overcome those obstacles?
I also forgot to add one thing, if you don't mind, Alice.
Oh, right.
Earlier is that when it comes to people, everything that we use actually impacts someone along the supply chain. For example, if you buy a T-shirt, if you buy a piece of fashion from a fast fashion brand, the person that made it is living on poverty wages, probably works 16 hours a day with no toilet break. That's the system we're supporting. So it's kind of moving our dollars away from systems like that so we can actually support small businesses and people and treat them fairly as well. Some of the obstacles that I have dealt with, which is a consistent thing, is impatience. All of us are a lot of us are very impatient for change to happen, but it is a slow and gradual process.
Right.
It does require persistency So we all have to be persistent and we have to gather more people into the movement. The biggest obstacle is also the inaction and greenwashing. So as you know, sustainability has become a trend, and that is a good thing, but people are using it as a way, a lot of businesses and brands are using it as a way to greenwash, to make themselves look more sustainable than they are, to encourage more consumption. Have you ever heard this phrase, save the planet by buying my t-shirt?
Oh, yes.
Buy this item and I will donate RM1 to this environmental organization. So it is being skewed, and that really confuses people as well, because a lot of people, once they learn about the environmental crisis that we're in, they want to take action, but they may not know how. So they might see all these different things and they'll be like, oh, I have to buy these things to make things sustainable. But that's not true. We can't shop our way to sustainability. The item that they're buying has such a huge environmental impact in itself that RM1 that's donated to the environmental organization is a net negative effect.
Exactly.
So it's not really about shopping or buying more things. It's actually about changing our lifestyle to become healthier and more sustainable.
Right. Very interesting that you said that. But yeah, we'll be taking a quick break right now. We'll be coming back in a bit to talk about more of your campaigns, yeah?
On air. Online. TRAXXfm.
Want to stay updated, informed, and inspired? Tune in to Tracks Momentum Monday through Fridays as we bring you a special feature interview each day of the work week at 11:15 a.m. Join us as we speak to a panel of experts, luminaries, well-known personalities, and achievers on various topics. Every Monday, Health on TRAXXfm. Tuesdays, Spectrum focusing on the topic pertaining to youth, arts, and culture. What Matters on Wednesdays. Face to Face with our guests on Thursdays. And on Fridays, tune in to W Talk. Tracks Momentum, Monday through Fridays, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. only on TRAXXfm.
Direct to your home, in the car, or at work with 50,000 watts of power and no satellite dish required.
11:36 a.m. on the clock right now, and of course, if you're just tuning in right now, we've been talking to Melissa Tan, the climate action and sustainability advocate, and obviously today is Earth Day, so those of you just tuning in right now, happy Earth Day to you. And Melissa, we are obviously on Facebook Live as well at TRAXXfm Official, so if you have any questions for Melissa, please do drop them on there. So we were talking about some of the campaigns, right, that you are in. So could you tell us more about the Great Global Cleanup Initiative and, the Canopy Project? Because you mentioned a little bit briefly about that just now, right?
Yes, the Great Global Cleanup is really a worldwide campaign by earthday.org that encourages everyone to be a part of a cleanup. But at the same time, this is something that you can do not necessarily by joining a cleanup. You can start a cleanup yourself. You don't even need to go to a beach. You can even do it in your taman itself. So how it all connects with plastic pollution is that you might think, oh, but I don't throw trash into the sea, so I'm fine. I don't contribute to the plastic pollution crisis. The truth is, a lot of our trash gets mismanaged. So even if you put it into a trash bin and it goes into the garbage truck, along the way, if you notice when the garbage truck just drives down the road, some of it can fall off.
Yeah.
Because plastic is so light, it will just blow away. And then when it lands on the road, when it rains, it washes it into the drain, which washes it into the rivers, which washes it into the ocean. So, for example, in the River of Life project in the Klang Valley, the government spends $500,000 every single month just cleaning up 8 boom gates that they set up across the River of Life. That's just 8. That's not the whole scale of things. And every day, contractors come in and they shovel out meters and meters of plastic that were trapped over there. If they didn't even set up the boom gate, it would just, sometimes it even is too much until it just flows down and all the way into the ocean anyway. So this is something that all of us can do. It doesn't have to be at the beach. Can just be in your taman. Can just be when you taking a morning walk bring a bag with you,
Yeah.
pick up trash along, and that's called plugging. It's something that you can do just in 5 minutes as well. Every time I visit a beach, I just usually grab a bag off the beach. I don't even bring a bag. There's usually a plastic bag on the floor already.
Oh, no.
And then I just, do a quick 5-minute cleanup. That's 5 minutes, that's, one bag less of trash that's going to go into the ocean, that's going to go into the food we eat, the fish we eat.
Yeah.
So it's all these ways that we can get engaged. And they have really good models for this as well. Steps that you can take, how do you put together a cleanup, and just to inspire each other on and learn from each other on how we can do it better. At the same time, it encourages us to turn off the tap, because it doesn't make sense for us to continue to create waste and then try and do cleanup. Why don't we stop waste from being produced in the first place? So that is through things like zero waste living, bringing your own bag, your bottle, your container. But with zero waste living, we aim to not even have a trash can at home, because if you don't produce trash, do you actually need a trash can? So it's all about reuse culture and alternative models of how we can live the best, healthiest life that we can without producing waste.
Wow. Yeah, that's ultimately zero waste, right? So, basically, Earth Day, today's Earth Day, the history of Earth Day, I think it started back in 1970, and Earth Day honors the environmental movement and raises awareness about pollution and ways to maintain a clean habitat. So how do you think we can do this? You've already talked about the beach cleanup or just the taman cleanup and stuff like that. What is our role, and how can we contribute in preserving the natural environment, besides the few tips that you have already given us, Melissa?
Get involved in the movement. Really, there are just pick an interest area and get started. For example, if you like fashion, are you a fashionista? I run Fashion Revolution in Malaysia, which, this week is also Fashion Revolution Week.
Oh.
It actually commemorates the collapse of the Rana Plaza disaster in Bangladesh, where a lot of our garments are made, where a lot of our fashion is made. So, people are working in very, very unsafe conditions, because when clothing is cheap, it doesn't mean there's actually no cost. It's just that someone else pays the cost. The environmental and social cost of a piece of clothing is not the 30 ringgit that you spend. It actually impacts people. So, they were working in very unsafe conditions. It collapsed in 2013, killing more than 1,000 people. Even though the building was unsafe, they were forced to continue working to make our cheap fashion. So this week we're having Fashion Revolution Week in Rex KL, and we have a whole bunch of workshops to be able to teach people how to enjoy fashion sustainably. And that's all through these different ways. For example, I personally post clothes swaps every month or every quarter, and that's where the entire community come together, and we bring all our unloved clothing to share with each other.
Right.
So, for example, maybe you change sizes, you put on weight, put off some weight, or something maybe doesn't really fit you anymore or doesn't suit your style. What if we brought all those pieces of our wardrobe, put them in a room together, and then share them with each other? I have had people come back year after year after year, and they tell me, oh, I actually don't even buy clothes anymore because it doesn't make sense. Why don't we just all share with each other? And that way, all of us get to not only save costs, we save a lot of environmental impact. So explore all these different ways of how you can be a part of changing your lifestyle, but also changing the way that we all consume together. There are reforestation organizations like Free Tree Society, where they encourage people to re-green Kuala Lumpur, and they give away free plants and education to build more environmental advocates as well. For example, do you realize that we don't often hear birds and see insects in Kuala Lumpur? That's because there is no greenery. There is very broken up greenery. There's probably 1 or 2 forests left, and everything else is concrete. So there is no habitat for wildlife. So if we grow more native plants and, stop kind of paving over everything, we grow more native plants, that will provide food and shelter for all these wildlife to come back into our city. So these are just some, examples of different ways that we can engage in it. And one of my favorites is Zero Waste Malaysia. They provide a lot of amazing resources. Anything you can think of. Where do you compost? Where do you recycle? Where can you buy things without plastic? Where can you get your rice, your eggs, your vegetables, anything you can think of without plastic, just straight into your containers. These are just a few of the organizations that I would encourage you to get involved in so they can learn from other people and also myself, of course. Hey, Melissa Tan, come check me out and we'll learn together.
Yeah, exactly. So that's Hey Melissa Tan on Instagram. But it's interesting that you mentioned fashion because one thing that I noticed, like the couple of years that I've lived in KL, I noticed that people are starting to take second-hand shopping really seriously. Like they actually sell their old clothes, like the Marie Kondo, their place, their wardrobe or something like that, and then they sell it to a second-hand shop, and people actually buy. I myself have been going to local like second-hand shop and buying stuff like that, and I quite like to see because there are always really cool finds like treasure pieces and stuff like that. So that is something that has kind of successfully broke into the sustainability market, I think. What do you think?
Yeah, thrifting has definitely become more popular, and I'm really glad to see you're engaging with it as well, Els. It is a gateway to how we can. Once you start thinking, how come there's so much fashion pieces out there? Which we make 100 billion pieces of clothing every single year. That's like a whole wardrobe for every single human being on earth. Can you imagine how much fashion waste we're creating? So if there's so much already in existence, like, why are we not using it?
Yeah, exactly.
Why do we still keep buying and making more? Do you remember how our parents and our grandparents used to have clothes? It's like heirlooms. They make one a year, and it's handmade by my grandmother. And then after that, they pass it down to their siblings. And every piece is made with love and cherished for decades. In fact, they can even pass it down to their granddaughters. Now, we don't have that relationship with clothing. And that's what Fashion Revolution really tries to change. You know, just seeing that it's not just about thrifting, it's also about changing our relationship with it. Because do you ever feel like when you open your closet and it's full of clothing and you feel, I have nothing to wear, lah?
Yeah, yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because we don't have that relationship. Everything was bought on impulse. And it's like, oh, it made you feel good for like 5 seconds. Then you wear it once and then like, you don't feel good about it anymore. And then you're like, oh, now I have to donate it. Now I have to get rid of it. And then people think that there's this misconception that donating is actually a good thing. It's a very feel-good factor, right? Oh, I donate to charity. But in reality, so much of it is going to landfill. Because if you think about it, if we're producing 100 billion every year and we're throwing 100 billion away, how much does charity really need?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's why I recently heard as well, because they were like, we don't need clothes, we need some other things. So then I did my own research and I'm like, okay, they actually don't really need clothes. Like even like the recent flood or something like that, people are needing other things like pillowcases and stuff like that. They don't really need clothes because clothes is like abundance.
It's too abundant. And I always like to ask people, do you really think that someone else that is in a difficult situation would need your hot shorts and crop tops?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. There we go. So it's interesting that you mentioned the fashion. But, you know, because you mentioned so many things that are happening, like fashion-wise, there's the plastic-wise. And I think I recently read an article as well, a couple of months back. It's more than plastics in the ocean because I think plastic waste in the ocean is only 10% of our climate change problem, right? So there are so many other factors to take into this climate change and stuff like that. So what are the most pressing concerns about our natural environment?
That's a great one, Els. That's a really great perspective that you brought there, that, you know, there is not just one thing. It's not just plastic.
Yeah.
It's actually so many. It's actually every single thing that we touch and everything that we eat. For example, one of the biggest contributors to climate change is the meat industry. So, and a lot of people in the world are also going hungry at the same time, which is bizarre, isn't it? We have, 7 billion people now and heading towards 8 billion. And we're struggling to feed them. but that's because it was also fueled by the meat industry. We are clearing Amazon rainforest to be able to raise cows. And if you think about it, when during our parents' time, they didn't eat as much meat as we do now, right? It's like a special occasion or a festival instead of every single day in every single meal. Think about how ineffective that process is. Instead of growing crops to feed humans directly, we're growing crops to feed an animal over a long period, a period of time, and then we eat the animal. So we're clearing so much forest. That's a huge cost of deforestation, the animal agriculture industry, but we're clearing so much forest to do this process instead of us eating the food directly ourselves. So one of the biggest ways that you can cut your personal impact, the fastest way is to actually reduce your meat intake. And I'm not saying, oh, you have to go vegan. Just try it one time a day, one meal a day, or maybe one day a week. Just try it slowly and then explore more flavors as well. Because I think a lot of times we eat rice, chicken, sauce. And then actually where's our nutrition coming from? Because the minerals and vitamins is in the vegetables and we're eating so little of it as well. So just change the proportion of your diet more towards plant-based, and that already is a surefire way to cut your personal impact drastically.
Right, there we go. And interesting because one of my friends actually told me, because I told her exactly the same thing that you are telling all of us, right? So I said, I think the best way is to like cut your meat or something like that and like eat healthy, because nowadays a lot of people are going the healthier lifestyle and stuff like that. And then she says, but it's more expensive, and fashion wise, if you decide to buy like a sustainable fashion, there are quite a few sustainable fashion brands out there right now in Malaysia, and they're like, what for I buy this? I can buy this for 30 ringgit, but what for I go and buy this one is 200 ringgit. So that's when I lose my case. Like, I don't know what to say. So can you advise me on that?
Thanks, Elsa. It's something that a lot of people face problems with as well. So I'm going to put it this way. Do you remember buying a t-shirt from a fast fashion brand? Fine, 30 ringgit. And then when you wash it 2 times, got the momo come out, then the thing twists, and then like it looks kind of wrong already after you wash it 2 times. And then after a while you don't feel good, so you're like, I'm going to throw it this one, then I'll buy another one. So over the course of like 2 years, you might have bought 6 t-shirts. Okay, 30 ringgit, okay, 180 ringgit.
Okay.
On the contrary, there's one brand that I like, which is a basic t-shirt, cut really well. So I really enjoy wearing it. I've been using it. It was made in fair trade, and it was also made of a superior quality, a sustainable material called Tencel. It cost me 100 ringgit. Okay, 3 times more expensive, right? I wear it for 2 years, very regularly. Looks as amazing as the first day.
Wow.
So it's actually about how we take care of our clothes and how we enjoy it. And the thing that people, and the thing that we sometimes forget is that you and we would never go to someone and like steal their money. We would never do that. But through purchasing fast fashion, we're actually taking dollars out of someone else's pocket. And it's usually the garment worker that should have been paid a fair wage so they can actually support their family. They will pay cents on the dollar and made to work in slave-like conditions. So that is another way or another form that we're not directly stealing, but we're indirectly stealing by supporting these kind of business practices.
Right.
So it's about taking everything that you use and just try and probe a little more. Like, who is the person that made this item? Were they treated fairly? Actually, the company pollute a river in Johor because of this, and then it affected all the people over there just by me buying this product. So the supply chain is global. It is so complicated. We may not have eyes on it, but everything we consume has an impact. So when we support businesses that try and do better, it means we're also voting with our dollar for a better world. Because if we continue to support these businesses, that's why they continue to grow. And other companies that are doing things sustainably, they will notice and they will see, oh wait, how come I lost all my business to that one? That means I need to, because the consumers want us to actually do things properly. So that's how we can impact with our dollar.
Right. Thank you so much for that. I mean, we could go on for hours on this because it's very interesting. But you know what? Time is not letting us to continue this. So in celebration of today's Earth Day, Melissa, what advice would you give to our listeners who are tuning in right now and also our Facebook viewers? What advice would you give to them?
The easiest thing that you can do today is to do nothing.
Nice one. That's
to
exactly.
do nothing.
Yes.
To keep your credit card, keep your wallet. Before you try and buy something, think about, do I actually need this thing? Could I borrow it from my neighbor or my friend? Or do I actually have it at home already? And check out all the organizations that I mentioned, Zero Waste Malaysia, Fashion Revolution, Free Street Society. Get involved with all these organizations and start your journey today.
Wow. Thank you so much, Melissa. I'm actually, like I mentioned, I'm quite disappointed and sad that you're not in the studio with us. But, you know, thank you so much for sharing your time and your insights and your thoughts. I know you've got a busy day ahead of you. So, happy Earth Day to you, and thank you so much. You want to follow Melissa on Instagram? It is at Hey Melissa Tan. I'll be sharing that on my Instagram in a bit as well. So thank you, Melissa. Have a good one.
Thanks, Els. Happy Earth Day.
Happy Earth Day. Bye. Right, so there we go. We've been talking to Melissa Tan, the climate action and sustainability advocate on Earth Day. So yeah, got the news coming up at 12. Be back after that.
Feel good radio station. Make me feel good. Anywhere, anytime. TRAXXfm.